So firstly, welcome everyone to the first Energy Breakfast session. We've decided to run these sessions as part of RECAH. For those of you that don't know, RECAH is the Rural Energy Community Advisory Hub, which has been a project we've been running for the last year and a half or so, providing best practice examples through our website, technical assistance, guidance documents, newsletters as well. So I imagine you're all signed up at this point, hence being part of this meeting. And we decided to do these breakfast sessions as an opportunity for you, the network, to network with each other. This is the first session that will be done by Ivan here from Croatia, and he's going to be presenting some examples from Croatia, but more particularly the cooperative of Novi Otok, which was one of the best practice examples that we've produced from there. So Ivan will present for the first 15 minutes or so, and then we would like to open up the floor for yourselves. So if you do have any questions, obviously just raise the hand or put a comment in the chat and we can pick it up and we'll try and inspire some conversation, or open your microphone and fire away. What we would ask is, if you are, when you are speaking, if you can sort of present yourself, present your name and who you represent, that would be sort of a nice starter. Before we get started and I pass over to Ivan, the other thing I would like to ask is everyone happy for us to record this meeting for internal purposes, for a sort of summary note that we'll produce at the end of the session? If you are not happy, please obviously let me know. A second question would be, if we do record it, is anyone against us putting the recording on the website so that other people that maybe haven't been able to join the session can have a look and be a part of it and see some of the points that are raised later on? Okay, and finally, at the end of this meeting, we would like to be able to share contact details. I know some of you in the survey said that you wouldn't be happy for that, so we won't share contact details or your contact details with anybody. But is there anyone who, since having done the survey, is against that? No, perfect.
It's useful, especially with small groups like this.
Perfect. Thanks, Edgar. So without further ado, I'll pass you on to Ivan. He's going to present for 15 minutes or so. And I hope you all enjoy the session.
Yeah, thank you, Henry. Everybody, hello. My name is Ivan Zokovic, but you can call me Zola. Everybody knows me as Zola. So first, thanks very much to inviting me and to me to have this opportunity to represent what are we doing in Croatia regarding energy communities and energy cooperatives. So the whole idea is today that I will represent what we have done here in Croatia, especially on the islands. You can see here on the picture, it's island of Korčula and island of is where I most work lately. So I will be around these two projects. Okay, so just to represent my ecosystem, what I do and where I'm involved in. So I'm a member, so my let's say background is energy cooperatives, and I'm also, besides being member and project manager in energy cooperative Novi Otok, based on Korčula. I'm also a member in two other energy cooperatives. One is on the island of Cres. It's Apstirides. It's an old Greek name for this archipelago. And I'm also a member of Green Energy Cooperatives from Zagreb, which is covering the whole Croatia. I'm also involved in two NGOs, namely SMAG, where we do permaculture and sustainable development, and Island Movement, or in Croatian Pokret Otoka, is the NGO regarding the sustainable development of Croatian islands. And I used to work for United Nations Development Program as an expert on energy, renewable energy in underdeveloped countries, mostly Central Asia. So I'm kind of let's say mixing my like hands-on approach with energy cooperative, with involving different kind of people in one project, especially community development, and including citizens into energy cooperatives. Next slide. So, future of energy system, it's kind of a we don't know exactly. No one has like a magical sphere that can foresee the future, but according to all the trends, from large power plants, we are going to the many small power producers. We will be decentralized, and the directions of the selling and buying of the electricity will be in a two-way directions, and that's the reason why people will kind of as they used to be just a passive only paying like customers, they will be an active prosumers, and that's the reason why we are kind of focusing on this idea of empowerment people to be aware of the situation, what is will be, and how to adapt to the new system. Next slide, please. So according to research that was done by our partners, by 2050, half of the population in European Union will be able to produce their own electricity. Next slide. Which is kind of a, and our focus is how these, let's say, entities, people will be organized. As you can see on this slide, 23% will be in private households and 37% will be in cooperatives. That's the reason why in our work we focus on households and on cooperatives. Next slide. Unfortunately, regarding Croatia, you can see that according to the capacity of installed photovoltaic systems, we are on the last position in EU. And actually, to be honest, this morning I had a stressful article about Croatian law, and I don't know the reason why they're having all these obstacles in Croatia to install more PV systems. But according to our partners from Germany, the difference between, let's say, Croatia and Germany is that Germany is the first one. You can see on in this graph that almost half of the all investments in renewable energy sources comes from the small investors, from communities, from cooperatives. People are gathering around and doing investment, and this is the reason what we also want to do in Croatia. Next slide. There's a reason why we want decentralized energy production, and we want these renewable energy projects to have added value for the local community. Either are the like farmers, citizens, cooperatives, small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. That's the reason, next slide, why we kind of did a research and we found that in Croatia it's really hard to get grasp with the financing instruments, and that's the reason why we want to promote crowdfunding as innovative financial models for investments in renewable energy sources in Croatia. As you can see on this slide, there are different kinds of crowdfunding models, and we started from the beginning with donations, and we did a couple of campaigns where we put the solar power plant on the schools, and it was a reward and donation based campaign. But later on, you can put the next slide. So when we did the first, let's say, phase, we wanted to upgrade so people can actually invest in renewable energy sources in Croatia, and that's the reason why we did this campaign called Križevci Sunny Roofs. I was a project manager of this project. It was led by Green Energy Cooperative. Idea is to cooperate with city. So city of Križevci was partner in this project. So we invited people to invest in this solar power plant in sense that they will have some kind of a return on investment interest. Idea is to use this electricity on the local level. This building is let's say startup IT businesses can have a space in this building, and there's also some manufacturing. Actually, you can see on this picture in this corner of the building there is a chocolate factory, and in this factory people with disabilities can work. And it was a really nice idea because kind of we wanted to give them opportunity to use renewable energy sources and electricity from renewable energy sources so they can power their production. Next slide, please. So this was our first time to do this in Croatia, and actually we did it really like old school ways. Like we didn't use any digital let's say tools. We kind of contact people either on phone or directly or via mail. We didn't use, let's say later on we used some other digital platforms, but this was like really plain and simple. So the whole campaign lasted 10 days. You can see here the basics, like 30,000 euros for these 30 kilowatts, and we gathered 53 investors. Idea was that you had a like minimum investment stake and maximum. We didn't want to have like one entity invest all the amount. It was not the idea. Idea was to test the concept of multiple stakeholders with different backgrounds to invest in the one project and to install this power plant. So our idea is that you will not get rich with this because you can say it's not a big, like say the maximum deposit was not big. It was just like 1,330 euros. And for example, if you multiply with these annual interest of 4.5% at the end of this 10 years, because we had the agreement until 10 years with the investors, you will earn like maybe 6,000 euros. So it's, when you divide it in 10 years, it's not much, but the idea was to have the opportunity to invest in project that it's good for your community. You're not leaving your money on the banks and giving peanuts for it. And actually the interest was so big that we did another power plant on the nearby building, which is a city library. And this was, let's say, a turning wheel, like a snowball effect, and people were kind of interested in more and more and more. And that's the reason why later on we also founded the energy cooperative here named Click. Next slide, please. So let's say this let's say experience that I had with energy cooperatives, with the crowdfunding investment schemes, I later on translate this to Croatian islands, and because I joined the energy cooperative there, I started doing strategic plans on Croatian islands regarding the energy transition. So we joined, for example, Korčula, and energy cooperative on Korčula joined Clean Energy for EU Islands initiative by European Commission. And first we created island-wide strategic plan on clean energy transition process. And the idea is to have 4 pillars of stakeholders that are involved in designing this strategic plan called Clean Energy Transition Agenda. So we included citizens, we included academia from the kindergarten up to the university, small businesses that were present and are present on the island, and of course, local authorities. So idea is to have this kind of holistic approach for our decarbonization plan, and also to involve communities into this energy transition, because we really wanted to do it from the bottom up. So we kind of avoid this, please, not in my backyard moment, and to kind of attract the plans and actually also the projects on our island. Next slide, please. So I know that sometimes, let's say that when you put it out there that you want to do energy transition, especially on the islands, you will receive many offers to do some innovative, not yet seen things which can kind of increase your energy transition, and you will be the first in this and first in that. But actually sometimes it can be a drawback. So we wanted to rely on proven technologies, because especially people in isolated areas like islands, like rural areas, they don't want to be seen as guinea pigs, as someone, we will use this new technology and we don't know yet how it works, but we will test it on your grounds. So you have to rely on a proven technology, because this is the way how you will gain trust from your local community. If you try to do something unseen yet and you fail, people just say, he's inventing a wheel. So we relied on proven technology. We did work on a small and large projects at the same time, because we didn't want to oppose these two, let's say, camps. Like, for example, I'm doing with the energy community, so and energy cooperatives, and sometimes I really get this, let's say, remark that energy communities and energy cooperatives, you are for the small projects, you are some kind of tree huggers and kumbaya singers. We are the big players. Let us do the big projects, and you can take this crumble. So we didn't want to do this. We wanted to do also large projects, because in large projects, energy communities, energy cooperatives can do business, can prove actually that scaling is possible, and actually scaling up on an island level, it's really important, because as much as we like small projects, because they're really kind of almost like sexy, but we also have to do large projects. And of course, we have to have a synergy of all sectors. As I mentioned before, you should do also with academia, with businesses, with local authorities. Without this synergy, your energy transition will be left on a really skinny legs, let's say that way. Next slide, please. And also, for example, we did have a role model. So we were looking out to Europe. Does anyone already done the energy transition? So we find out that there are some initiatives that are already on their way to energy transition. So we kind of learned from them. Although energy transition as an idea, as a term, it's kind of a more like etheric, like people cannot relate to energy transition as the first point, because they see it as, energy transition is something for engineers and for utility scale companies or projects. They don't see it as a day-to-day basis procedures and processes. So most of our job, let's say that way, was to have the continuous dialogue with local community, trying to present them what actually energy transition is. And actually it's a definitely, we have the technology, we have the means, but we have to have a shift in our minds to adopt this new technology or already proven technology, and to shift our habits to decarbonize our economy and way of life. And definitely we have to pay attention to the needs of the local people, not to put them aside and make some really big projects which are not incorporated either the needs of the local people, because in this way we will build the trust among the local community, and actually projects are easily done when you have the local community upfront included. So next slide, please. We also used some of the tools that European Commission has gave to local authorities. So through European City Facility, we developed another strategic document on Korčula, which is called investment concept. So in the first document, we had a general idea of how we want to transition to let's say carbon neutral Croatian island, Korčulan island. But then later on, we also did the investment concept, where we picked all the defined projects, and we developed like a due diligence, like a cost benefit analysis of these projects. So we are, let's say, ready for investments in these particular projects. Next slide, please. We also developed a so-called SECAP, which is really crucial if you want to be involved into the these European schemes of financial instruments. This is like strategic document that improve climate change monitoring and planning of our island, and this is kind of a, let's say, beside the SETA, this SECAP is really crucial element, because every step of your energy transition will be based on your strategic documents. Next slide, please. And of course, the later our project was Solar Islands, which was funded to the SOI program, which is a financial instrument specifically targeted islands in Europe. So, as I said, energy cooperative Novi Otok Korčula was the lead in this project, and our partner was island development agency from the island of Cres called Otra. Our idea is to have a joint action of local communities to install a communal solar power plant. Why communal? So on Croatian islands, most of settlements are in one or the other way under some kind of protection. Either is heritage or culture or environmental protection, and it's really hard to do multiple solar power plants. So the idea is to kind of to give opportunity to people who are living in these kind of areas, let's say some old medinas or old city centers, to also be part of the energy transition. It's to make let's say one bigger power plant on the outskirts of the cities or municipalities, and people can join cooperative. They can have joint investment in this one power plant, and actually it's kind of more economically and it's more feasible to do one big project on one place than little small multiple poly-location on the island. So next slide, please. So you can see here Korčula Island in this circled it's this circled island on the south part of the Croatia. Next slide, please.
Sorry, Ivan. Do you think we might be able to open up the floor to some questions? How many more slides do you have?
I have like maybe a couple of slides. We can run through these couple last slides because it just you can go on the next slide. So these are just like location to have an idea of the investment. Here you can see it's kind of a 13 megawatts. It's utility scale. Next slide. It's on a slope of the hill. And it's nearby a landfill on Korčula. Next slide. Next slide. This is like, and on Tres is also it's a smaller one. Next slide. Because on the Tres Island we didn't have cooperative as on Korčula, so idea was to go with a smaller project to first to install. To found a cooperative and then do the bigger projects. Next slide. So yeah, this is the youngest energy cooperative in Croatia, and now it's the one of the biggest one. And what is the really specific about this energy cooperative is that we engage local government to be part of the cooperative. That's the reason why we kind of do this project together. And it's really kind of helping us know the needs of local community. Next slide, please. Our idea is to have an online platform for a local impact investment where people can choose what kind of projects they want to support. And that's the reason why we do this multiple location things in Croatia. Next slide, please. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention. Sorry about the technical problems. I don't know what happened to my laptop, but I hope you get the idea what we are doing here in Croatia. So I'm open for any kind of questions.
Thank you very much, Ivan. So now we would like to open the floor to all of you watching. That was a very insightful presentation, particularly on Croatia's aspect. So if anyone has any questions, please obviously raise your hand or open your microphone or message in the chat. So we'd like to open the floor to you. Yes, Ilvia.
Yes, hello. Greetings from Latvia. Thank you, Ivan, for a very, very nice presentation. I really enjoyed. And I have a question. Oh, no, first I have to represent. So I represent two organizations. One is national organization in Latvia. It's a Latvian Rural Forum. We are NGO and we try to develop rural territories of Latvia. And the second is a local action group. So that's maybe my first question. Do you have local action group there? And
yeah, we do have local action groups, and actually local action group on island of Korčula is also member of our cooperative. And we actually yesterday we had also a meeting. We do the conferences together, organizing stuff. So definitely the local action groups are one of the, let's say, hubs how you can involve different kind of stakeholders into the energy transition.
Great. Then I will ask later for contacts. The second question, can you please tell more details about this chocolate fabric? Because this I found very interesting. I have a question about ownership. So I put my €100 and what do I get back? Maybe you
Okay.
said and I didn't understand, but what is my part?
Okay, so to have like say an introduction. So in that it was a couple of years ago. In that point of let's say in time in Croatia, it was a law, so we had to adapt to this law. So on this particular project, it was micro loan based project or crowdfunding, like peer-to-peer. So for example, if I want to be investor in this project, I will loan my money, let's say it's 1,000 euros, to a cooperative. Then cooperative has a multiple stakeholders which are lending money to a cooperative. Let's say it's 100, let's say 100 people. So 100 people give 1,000 euros to a cooperative, and cooperative has 100,000 euros. With this 100,000 euro, you will buy, let's say, 100 kilowatt of solar power plant, and you will install it. We did the same thing. We installed it on a publicly owned building, City of Križevci. So City of Križevci is the owner of the building. And then the electricity is used by the local businesses on this revenue, on this building, in this building. It's different kind of businesses, like small IT startups, people who are into crafts, this chocolate factory, offices, different kind of entities. They all pay electricity, which came from this solar power plant. But what we did, we made a due diligence, and we said, you look, we are able to produce this amount of energy, and this is our price of this energy. Are you willing to buy this amount of energy on this price for next 10 years? And they all said, yes, we are ready. And we signed the contract. So people, businesses who are using the energy are paying to cooperative. Cooperative is taking this money and paying off people who invested in the first place. So these people, they're not obliged to join the cooperatives as a full-time member, but they can, but they are not obliged to this, let's say, agreement. And when this contract is lasting 10 years, so 10 years to people who invested, 10 years to City of Križevci, because they are the owners of the building. After these 10 years, this solar power plant will translate to the ownership to the city. So from that point on, city is producing, let's say, free energy for their users. This was the idea generally. And later on, what we are doing, what I said on Korčula and on Cres, are equity-based crowdfunding. It means that you are also the owner of this project or this solar power plant. So for example, in Križevci, you are just lending. So that's the reason why it's lending-based crowdfunding. So you don't share any kind of risk. Literally, it means you have a contract saying you are obliged to give me this and this amount on this and this period. I don't care how your business goes. This is lending based, but equity, you are the owner, you are sharing all the risks. And of course, you sometimes, not sometimes, but this arrangement that you are sharing the risks also brings you more benefit, let's say that way. You know? So these are two kinds of, let's say, crowd investment schemes: loan-based, equity-based. I hope I answered you right. I don't know if you.
No, I understood the basic idea. I understood, I hope. But anyway, this is something interesting for us to explore more. So yeah, I would be very grateful to get your contacts, because in Latvia, for background, we don't have legislation in energy communities. I know that in several countries there are a lot of energy cooperatives, but in Latvia it doesn't work like that. Now, Latvian Rural Network Forum, we are implementing a project. We are trying to develop energy communities, and actually this idea we could try to test, actually, to make some pilots. So it would be very great to contact you. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. We also have a couple of questions that have come in on the chat. So if Sara Gutierrez, would you like to open your microphone and introduce yourself and present your question? If not, then obviously I'm happy to do that. Okay, I think I can probably ask the question on behalf of Sara. It says, thank you very much for your presentation. Could you please explain a little bit more about the online platform that you have shown in the last slides? How does it work and what are the main functionalities?
So to be honest, this is not our idea. There are already online platforms for renewable energy projects in Europe, but general idea is to have a, let's say, a landing page, a web page, where members can go and see what kind of projects are pending. Like, I don't know, let's say that you have 10,000 euros and you want to invest in different kinds of energy projects, and you go to this web page, you scroll down, you can see the characteristics of each project. It can be wind power plant, it can be solar power plant, it can be energy restoration, any kind of energy project that is valuable for energy crowd investment, you know. And then you can use your account and you can invest your money, and then later on, when this project is operating, you will receive the money. One of the what is, let's say, the new technology that is introduced here is blockchain. So we have a couple of functionalities that you can connect your digital wallet with your account, so you can use digital let's say currency to invest in this project, and you will also receive payment back through your digital wallet. So these are the basics functionalities. We are currently we are also developing the governmental functionalities of this, because when you have like different kind of people, different kind of backgrounds, from different kind of geographically different kind of the country or Europe, then it's really the digitalization of the process really helps the governance. So you can do the, you know, general assemblies, which are you are obliged by the law in Croatia of the energy cooperative. You can do the taxation, So these are like basic functionalities. And as I said, we are doing this on a Croatian level, but there are also many this kind of platforms in different kind of different member states of EU, and also there are some pan-European platforms where you can on one place see the not all, but many of projects pending right now on the Europe scale.
Perfect. We also have another question from Iona. Iona, are you able to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ivan, for the presentation. Really interesting. I think you answered part of my question, but I still I can rephrase. I didn't understand how many energy cooperatives today exist in Croatia and the installed capacity they represent in the total mix. And if they cover the energy needs of the local communities, we're talking about how many megawatts of self-production, how many megawatts for commercial projects. Are these cooperatives operating as suppliers for the local communities, or and if you have legislation about all these issues, or is it's just provisions on the energy, on the cooperative legislation you have in your country? Yes, and if the directives, the RED II and the IMD regarding energy communities are transposed in Croatia. That's it. Thank you.
So there are around 12 energy cooperatives in Croatia. They are mostly producers, and it's around 25 megawatts of peak power production. So why? Because according to the current legislation framework in Croatia, we are not, let's say, we cannot have direct contracts with consumers. We can either be production-based commercial projects, so we are not able to, let's say, sell directly energy to our customers. And for doing this, we have to be a registered supplier, and in Croatia it's really difficult and time-consuming, energy-consuming, financially consuming to be a supplier. So we didn't go into this venture, but what we are doing is we are kind of promoting. So we are now in a position that we are lobbying and let's say capacity. We are building capacity with our members and our stakeholders to promote energy cooperatives and energy communities. Just to clarify, in Croatian, energy cooperative is one, let's say, term, one idea, and energy community is a different one. Why? Because we already had law on energy on cooperatives, so we are doing energy cooperatives are doing business according to the law of cooperatives in Croatia. And 2 years ago, we introduced for the first time energy communities in our legal framework. And our decision makers did the lousy job because they didn't, first, they don't understand what energy communities are, they don't want to listen to us, and they have the secret agenda. So last 2 years, because of the unclearness of the law, we didn't have any new communities, energy communities established in Croatian law. Just to clarify, so in Croatian, they kind of put that energy communities only about solar power plants, only in one specific geographical location on one substation. It means like you cannot, for example, if my village, and in my village there it's only 120 inhabitants, but there are 2 substations, so we cannot be in the same energy community. And this is really frustrating, and we need, how to say, too much normatization of the law. That's the reason why we are kind of doing all the lobbying to loosen up these restrictions, so we can have like communities on a, let's say, on a base of a district or base of a town, village area, not just on the one substation in one particular city block. So this is what kind of we are dealing with now.
Great, thank you, Ivan. Is there anyone else who has any questions? Any raised hands that I've missed, or any comments? Anyone that would like to open up their microphone? Okay. Actually, I have one or two questions. You mentioned obviously when you were setting up the cooperatives and sort of gaining traction that you look at proven technologies and then small and large projects. When you say proven technologies, is that presumably in Croatia that's mainly solar? And then also, would you say that it's best to go for proven technologies only in the initial phase? I mean, at what point does, if you've already gained sort of the trust of citizens and the local community, at that point would it then extend to more innovative technologies? Or in your opinion, is it best to just keep with proven technologies throughout the duration of the project's lifetime or the community's lifetime?
Well, as an engineer, I'm definitely for inventions and introducing new technologies. But first, you have to start with something that is already market proven, like, let's say, solar power plants, wind generators, biomass, hydro, whatever your resources and circumstances allow you to do. Then when you already gain the trust of your local community, and they can say, okay, let's say this guy is not only talk, there is something behind these energy cooperatives. They have some track record. They are okay. You can trust them. They are not schemers and stuff. Then you can easily have, let's say, a department in your cooperative, for example, as we do, that can be focused on innovative projects. For example, in our cooperative, we are now considering of hydrogen, for example. So we have a let's say a department, couple of us, we talk about this, we go to different study tours. I know actually, so I was one of the member of this department who went to see, actually it was in the UK, in Scotland, in Orkney Islands. So I went there to European Maritime Energy Center, and we saw how the energy of hydrogen is done. So I can kind of translate this experience to my colleagues, and we can develop this, let's say, innovative project inside of the cooperative. But it's not, let's say, it's not the main focus, it's not the only focus. It can be some like an additional, let's say, branch of your organization that you also involves with some innovative projects. For example, this blockchain technology, you know? So we did it, let's say, old-fashioned way, like calling people, meeting people, emailing people, doing lots of presentation, public lectures. That's the way how we initially attract the people. And then later on, when we had the experience, okay, now we need this, and this, and this, let's say, this blockchain technology can help us in this certain way, and we will use it, you know. But first, let's do it like, let's prove concept and then introduce innovation, because if you start with innovation first, without, let's say, simple things, people will kind of see you as, he's too risky, let's say that mildly, to invest. So that's the reason why we kind of combine different stuff.
That makes sense. Does anyone else have any questions at all?
I have a question. So I'd like to ask, did the cooperation and support of local authorities contribute to the successful implementation of the cooperatives projects? And do you think this created either limitations or facilitated success in the energy community itself, or even Croatia more broadly, in terms of a barrier or an enabler?
Yeah, so concretely on this island of Cres and Lošinj, it's really greatly helped because communities saw that local authorities, which already have some kind of a, let's say, a reputation in the community, so that they are supporting this project, and they said, okay, this gives some kind of credibility to this project. One thing also that was really neat about this island, that island is administratively separated into two local authorities, which are on the opposite spectrum of political directions, let's say that way, but they can cooperate together. So we didn't have this, let's say, politically colored how to say, prejudgment, in the sense that one party, let's say one party joined us and the other didn't, so then you have conflict, right? So that's the reason why this this greatly helped. And also in this first project with this solar power plant and chocolate factory, we also had local community, local authority present. So we see this as, let's say, helpful and supporting model. The only thing that you have to bear in mind that you should try to be politically as neutral as possible, because political situation can change every 4 years, and our opinion and our, let's say, strategy is not to be too much politically involved, because if you want to be politically involved, there are some other ways to do it. Energy cooperative is not such way. So for now, it was really, let's say, helpful to have local authority in our cooperative.
Thank you very much, Ivan. I think we just have time for one last question. There's a question here in the chat from Ilvia, asking, do you have any funding available in Croatia for energy community development?
In national, no. We only can do, and we are doing different research projects like Horizon, like Life, like Interreg, regarding energy cooperatives and communities, especially communities, because to be frank with you, Croatian Commission loves to this idea that they have some kind of let's say, legal barriers to do something, and then they are willing to support you in lobbying and energy and capacity building on this thing. Then we have this situation in Croatia that they are not seeing energy cooperative communities as something positive, so our decision makers. So we are having this kind of, let's say, support from EU level, but on national level, no, they don't like us.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Ivan, and thank you everyone else for joining this morning. It's been great to obviously have some clear insights on the Croatian situation. I think it certainly would resonate across a lot of countries that are struggling slightly with their legislation, particularly in the sense of energy cooperatives versus energy communities, but also some of the key activities that are taking place in Croatia. If anyone else has any further questions, then obviously we are going to share contact details at the end of this, provided anyone doesn't have any objection. And then obviously there'll be the opportunity to engage, I think, with Ivan after, if necessary. But otherwise, thank you all very much for attending. These sessions will be running sort of throughout the summer. We will have them in the next couple of weeks with a small break in August. Next week will be a representative from Holland, the Biozon Energy Community, Biozon Cooperative, excuse me. And hopefully we'll be able to see some of you there as well. And thank you all for your inputs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.